So when I say
Right.
animals and meat, they probably just think red meat. So it was up to me to say no seafood also. And then I had to then, so now when I tell people, I use the word no animals.
Hey listeners, welcome you all to Soul in the Game podcast. Mother's Day is here and I wanted to have a special guest for Mother's Day 2021, and I have a very good friend of mine who is vegan. She would like to address herself as vegan mom. She used to live in Arizona, USA. Now she is in China. Their family moved there 3 years ago and she continued her vegan journey. I talked to her in this episode about the challenges they went through and how they navigated them and have become stronger with vegan diet. Listen and hope you enjoy. Finally, if you haven't subscribed to this podcast yet, I request you all to please subscribe and share with people who would love to listen to this. Enjoy. Today is Earth Day here, and happy Earth Day to you. I know you for past, I think, 5-6 years, and always enjoy talking to you about plant-based diets and how you improvise the recipes and always think about those things apart from also other topics we discuss. So yeah, can you share your background and your so much passion in this with us?
Thank you, Soumya. I'm happy to talk to you. And it's wonderful that it is Earth's Day. So it adds much more meaning to what we're doing. I was raised a vegetarian. So I would say it was in a way easy for me, the way I look at it, because I already did not have eggs in my diet. My mom never cooked eggs. So it was already not in my diet. And then, so if I had to turn vegan from vegetarian, the only thing I had to do was take off milk. Yes, milk is in many things. And primarily in our Indian cooking, it's in ghee and yogurt. And ghee was not something I was having every single day. So that was easy. It was the yogurt which was hard for me. But I think for me, thinking back why I did this, I'm not sure who I'm still thinking who said that to me, or did I read it somewhere? I'm not sure. It was when somebody said, we are the only species which takes away the milk of another species. And when I first heard that, I could not sleep. I lost my sleep and I was thinking about it. To me, I equated it to stealing. For me, it was stealing. I'm like, okay, this is stealing. And then I thought about it and I realized this is not what I want to do. And I was thinking, do I want the taste or do I want to sleep better? What do I want? Do I want a 5-minute taste I eat yogurt rice and then the taste lasts for maybe for 5 minutes, the satisfaction for a little longer. But then the sleep is much more important to me and peace of mind. So that's why I chose. It was not a single day disconnect for me, but the disconnect was direct. I didn't want to support dairy industry anymore, but I think I stopped. I tried my coffee and tea with almond milk, with soy milk, with many things that were available in the market. And it didn't taste the same. So I was happy to skip coffee and tea because for both my pregnancies, I had stopped coffee and tea for the caffeine. So that part was easy again. Stopping yogurt was probably hardest because one of the nicknames for me in college was Tair Chadam in Tamil, which means curd rice. That's how much I loved yogurt. So
Wow.
that's one of my seniors named me that, and I'll tell you when that happened. So I was selected from the college to go to Rajasthan. It was part of a cultural exchange program. So one or two kids from every batch was selected, and it was I was in first year of college. So it was 2 of us, and then along with our seniors. And North India, it was mainly rotis and curries every time. So I was missing yogurt rice. And that's how they ended up naming me Thai Shadam, because I was asking, can I get this somewhere? But it was not easily available. It was like maybe 8-day trip. So it was a long time away from the hostel, where I could find yogurt rice. So I still remember the senior who named me that. Her name was Shirley. She named me that. And it's funny that I've gone from there to here. And the answer to that again is because I thought to myself, do I want the taste, or do I want to sleep better? So, and this was probably, I would say, it's been 5 years from now, a little more, because I don't remember the exact date or year. It was just a slow transition. I was stopping one by one. And here I am.
Wow, that is so beautiful. I mean, you remember that thought, that feeling you got, right? Hearing about it. So were you always into animals? Did you always love animals to have that much of a big impact? Because people hear so many things on about that, right? But to have that transformational change in thought process and to impact our consumption, you have to have like strong connection to something. So is that your love for animals, or yeah?
That's a good question, because I've actually thought about it, and how I am approaching dogs and cats now, I was not approaching before. So I don't think I had, I think we all are born with empathy. It's not that we reignite or create empathy. I think we are born with empathy, but somehow down the line, it just becomes dormant. Because when something happens to somebody, if we watch a movie, most of us feel sad. It's the mirror neurons working, because when something happens to somebody, you feel as though it's happening to you. So we do feel sad. And I'm somebody who cries for almost every movie. My kids still today, they make fun of me. I still remember we went to Coco movie, and then I was crying so much on the way back, and so much that they were walking a little away from me, my husband and kids. They were like, what is this? But I think what resonated with me in that movie was the grandma sentiment, the family sentiment, and the dog there. So I don't think it was just the love for animals, because I was not expressing it openly before. I was not somebody who would run to a dog when I see the dog, or it was not like that. I think it was just that in India, we considered cow as very holy. We pray to cow. We have Gomata, and we do have Kamadhenu pictures in our altars. So when I just heard saying we are taking away the milk of another species, I actually started reading more, because it was just one sentence that I heard and I equated it to stealing. But I started reading more, and I read that the cow's body produces milk only when it's pregnant. So just like me, right? I was producing milk when I had a baby. So imagine like what happens in the dairy industry. The cow is pregnant, the baby's born, and the baby's taken away within 24 hours so that we humans can have the milk. So equating it to me having a child, and my child being taken away 24 hours, my baby, newborn, being taken away from me within 24 hours. That's something which no mom can imagine, right? So I think it's connecting the cow's feelings or emotions. It's more like the sentience of the cow. I'm sure the cow it's just that the cow is not able to voice out like or talk in language like how we humans use. But I've read articles, I've seen videos of how the cow bellows for hours together after the calf is taken away. And it's not just taken away, because a female calf is taken away and kept separately, and that she will become a dairy cow in the future by artificial impregnation. And then the male cow is taken and killed for veal. So it's not just taken away, it's much more cruel. And I don't think any part of this is humane, and it's unnecessary. It's not that I need to eat that to survive. Yes, the marketing will tell you milk has calcium, milk has protein, but there are other sources, because we were not born drinking milk. If you look into our generations, maybe the past few hundred years is when the farming and stuff began. It's not that we always had milk, and it was not something that was the mankind used right from the beginning of creation.
So did you move from being vegetarian, that's consuming dairy products, to suddenly nothing, like ghee, yogurt? What was the hardest for you? Was it easier to give up
So
on
as I
things
told you, to eliminate, to become vegan from vegetarian, I just had to take off eggs, I was already not eating eggs, so it was not a thing. So it was only milk. So in milk, it was ghee and yogurt. I was not somebody who was eating ice cream on a daily basis, or I was not somebody who was making Indian sweets, because most Indian sweets have ghee and milk in them. I was not making it on a daily basis. So on a regular basis, it was not even ghee, because I was having ghee with just one of the items that we make, which is a bit spicy. It's more a habit that we had. When we have that particular item, it's a bit spicy. It's made with tamarind pulp, so it's spicy and tangy, and you add ghee to it. And that was more a habit. I realized I'm doing it because that's what my mom did, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm doing for my kids. So it's more a habit which I can easily stop if I wanted to. If I had the intention to. So it was only yogurt which was hard for me. And I think I tried making other yogurts or even buying it, but I realized it was just me at home. So I was ready to just give up yogurt. I told you, it was a disconnect, thinking, do I want to sleep better, or do I want to have a more satisfied meal, which is a temporary satisfaction? And this was 4 or 5 years ago. Here I am, where now my husband is vegan. My daughter chose to be vegan. She's 15. She came home from school one day. This was 2020 January, where she came home from school one day, and she just said, I'm ready to go vegan from vegetarian. That's all. She just said that. And I remember tearing up and hugging her, because she had made a decision herself. It was not me forcing it on to her, because I think it cannot be forced. I can keep telling my kids, do this, do this, do this, but they can very well do it behind my back. They could eat at birthday parties. They could eat at school. They could borrow from friends, because sometimes kids end up sharing snacks. So I think it's not something you can force. It has to come from inside. And for my daughter, it's a decision that she made. So there she is. Here I am. And for my husband, I think the hardest part for him also was yogurt. So seeing that I was not consuming dairy for my own reasons, and he heard me telling people, he heard me talking to people, and I was sharing back and forth in Facebook, where I was doing this veganery thing, where I was sharing more and more posts about what's happening in the dairy industry, what's happening in the egg industry, and for animal rights. I was sharing a lot, and I think he casually ended up seeing some of those. And for him, I don't think it was just a switch. It was not like turn on and turn off. It was again a slow transition. And one day in China, we couldn't find dairy yogurt without sugar. It was not easy, because he wanted to have it with rice. That's how we would traditionally have it in South India. And because we couldn't find it, he just told me, can you make me some yogurt? That's it. That one sentence, I'm like, sure, I'm ready. So I tried almond yogurt, cashew, soy, peanut yogurt. And I tried, I watched videos, I looked into recipes, but none of them came right, in the sense either the texture was not right, the taste was not right, or it was too creamy, or was not set right. So finally, I gave it a try for probably 6 months, because I realized that soy yogurt is the one that sets better, at least the texture part of it. And so I think it took me 6 months to get it right. And now I make soy yogurt at home, and just that homemade soy yogurt turned him to vegan from vegetarian. And as for my son, he's 8. So I wouldn't say he is vegan by choice, because I sat down and I told him, this is what mom is going to serve you. Amma is going to give you only this food. And I told him why. He watched a video along with me of what happens in the dairy industry. So I told him, I know I'm not sure if you want to continue being vegan, but as long as you stay with me, this is the food I'm providing you. And I told him why. I keep telling him why. And we have talks about it quite often, thinking about, we think about how is it going to, if something is done to an animal, if the same thing happens to you, how are you going to feel about it? So it's empathy, putting yourself in that place. And it's not just sympathy where you feel sad for the animals, but it's empathy where you're connecting and thinking, what can I do for this? I cannot change the world, but I can do something about this. So with my son, I'm not sure what his future is going to be, but here as a mom, I'm showing him that it is possible. You can still make yogurt at home. You can still have pizza. You can still have cakes. You can still have ice creams. We make ice cream with coconut milk. We make pizza at home. I make my own cheese. And all this I'm thankful to China, because we could not find these items in China. I had to learn to make them. So I made mistakes. I had to throw away stuff. I had to order online, wait for it to arrive, wait for weeks to arrive. But here I am, and I'm confident, and I'm grateful that I'm able to make all these at home and show my son. But my daughter, she made a decision. So I don't think I'm going to prove anything to her. But for my son, I'm showing him that it's possible. And talking about my son, I do have a little story that I want to share. So one day my son came home and he said, all my friends are telling me that chicken nuggets is very tasty. So first I had to listen. I think 3 or 4 years ago, if it was me, I would have just given him a huge lecture about how you're harming the chicken nuggets is made from chicken, all that stuff. But I had to realize that I had to tell him, first listen, acknowledge his feelings, because his friends are important to him. And he has 5 friends around him, probably, who all eat chicken nuggets and who tell him it's tasty, or they bring it for lunch, or they have it for evening snack. So I had to tell him, saying chicken nuggets is made from chicken. I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy it for you, because I'm not going to do it with my whole heart. I cannot give you money to go buy that, because it's not something I approve of. I know you can eat it later when you are outside the home. You might have access to it. It's your personal choice. But right now, I'm not paying for it, but I can recreate it for you. So that night, before going to bed, we both together, we sat down, we looked into recipes, and I found a recipe of chicken nuggets made from chickpeas. And I made it for him the very next day when he was back from school. I'd made 2 versions, one baked and one fried. Both my kids tried it. They loved it. They loved the fried version, obviously. And my son was happy. So here, I think I listened to him. I acknowledged his feelings, and I told him why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I also gave him an option of, here it is, you can try it. And he likes it too. He actually really, really liked it. And the funny part of this was my husband. He saw this and he was, first of all, shocked that I took this step, because the final product looks so real, like the original one. And he didn't want to take a bite of it, because he's raised vegetarian. He didn't want to do anything with the taste, and he refused to even look at it. That's who he is. I respect that. He didn't want to, but I don't want to make it. I don't want to taste it, but I had to do it for my son, because he's my son. I'm raising him in a world wherein in many places it just feels that veganism is not normal, because I don't think he has another vegan friend here who he can identify it, and he can share his ethics with. So I would just say that it's been quite a journey, humbling, and it's been a huge learning curve also. And I think it also helped me to be a bolder parent in front of my kids, telling them, this is what I'm doing, here is why I'm doing this, and this is for a selfless cause.
Yeah, and you've been also into parent child psychology, right? You've been a teacher, you understand their mentality, and you've advocated for children's rights. I know that.
Yes,
You
yes,
always put children first and their needs.
and I think that's also because before I was just reading, and when I became a parent, it was totally different. I realized that life is much more different. You put your kids in front of you, because your entire schedule is dictated by them. And it was okay when I had my first one, because everything was about her. I could reschedule everything. But when I had the second one, I realized life was changing much more. And so I started reading much more about child psychology after my son was born, because I could see that my daughter needed more of my time, but I was having less of the energy. So I think reading about child psychology helped me to be a better parent, and also listen to my kids and not just tell them what they have to do and what is right and what is wrong. And above all, model it for them. Because if I am not doing something Even the simplest thing, something like don't look at your phone while you're eating. But if I'm looking at my phone or answering it, it could be an urgent one. But then it's up to me to tell them this is urgent. I need to do this. And then I do, instead of just mindlessly doing it, say I'm playing a game or I'm watching a video or somebody forwarded something to me. If I'm doing it, I'm telling them not to do it. Then it's not something which is going to, it's actually going to backfire, because my kids would definitely ask me back, how is it right? How is it fair? You're doing it. And how come I cannot do it? And I'm happy they're talking and asking, because we need those reminders to walk the walk and not just talk the talk.
Yeah. So I want to go back to the earlier thing you mentioned. You sat and watched the videos with your son, right? And how was it? Because I can imagine watching something extremely uncomfortable, and there's also a fear, like it will hurt or traumatize. Yeah, how was it?
I understand. Yeah. So I chose the video carefully. I didn't show something which was outright with blood and all that stuff. So the video that I chose was one where all the cows are hooked to a milking machine and there's no grass, there's no concrete. So I think my son watched just a minute of it, not even, it was 4 minutes maybe. So he watched a minute of it, and I was telling him that cows graze in, I mean, normally if you look at a packaging of say happy cows on the milk carton, the cows would be grazing in the field, right? But that's not the reality. In a dairy farm, there is no grass, it's concrete. So he noticed that it's just concrete, it's not beautiful, it's not grass, the cows are not roaming around. All of them are, it's a circular machine, and all of them are hooked to that. And then I was telling him that this is how they take the milk out, and there's no grass, and this is how their life is. So this was his sentence after watching this for a minute. He said, I wouldn't want to work there. So that's what he said, which means he does not want to be working there looking at that scene every day. That's bothering him that much. So I told him, he was tearing up too because he was sad about it. Then I told him, we cannot change what others are doing. We cannot change the world. We cannot stop what's going on, but you can change yourself, and that will make a difference. That's what I told him. And I think at the age he's in, he has not taken it. It's not that he's processing too many of it. And I'll give you an example of how simple how much he's simplified it for me as a mom. I think it'll be wonderful if I can simplify things like him. So he was at the, as I told you here, the community is wonderful. He plays every evening after school. So I think it was a weekend probably. So they all play at the field. We stay in the school campus. So they all play at the field. And one of the moms had made donuts at home. It was heart-shaped donuts. So he comes back from playing and he told me, Amma, this person had bought, he didn't know who it was. It was one of the two moms. So he said, maybe this mom or this mom, they bought donuts to the field and they gave everyone, and I did not take one. And I asked him why, because he said, I don't know if it's vegan. And I was really touched. So I asked him, you didn't feel like eating? And he said, no, it's not vegan. I was not sure. And I think most probably it won't be vegan because we live in China. And so, and then I said, I can try making it at home for you. And that week, I think I Googled for recipes. I didn't have a donut pan. So I did try making donuts at home. And there was this cute idea that I found online to make the hole in the center. You just have to fold aluminum foil like a tube and put it and bake it at home. And I made it. It didn't look perfect. It was not even round, but he was happy that I gave it a try, and they loved it. My kids loved it. So that's one thing. But then the part 2 to this story is I ended up sharing it with my sister-in-law who lives in New Jersey. She's vegan. She's raising her son vegan. So I was sharing this with her, and she was really touched, and she called him. She called him on a video call, and she said, Sai, I heard about the story of your mom telling me that you didn't take donuts. And she said, I'm an adult. I cannot resist the temptation. How did you resist the temptation? Because we were talking about how if he had eaten, I would have not known because I was not there, and nobody's going to come and tell me your son ate a non-vegan donut. They're not going to take it seriously. And it's just going to be, it's a matter of integrity. He wanted to be truthful to himself, because if he had eaten it, he would have known, right? So then this was his answer when my sister-in-law was asking him, how did you have that much self-control, and how did you not feel to eat it? And then his answer was, I'm just used to eating vegan food. That's all. He simplified it in one line, saying, I'm just used to eating vegan food. Because we asked him, why did you not take it? I would have not even known if you had taken it. And he simply, and he didn't even stay there for, he didn't answer and like stay there. He just said, I'm just used to eating vegan food. And he walked away. And here me and my sister-in-law both are thinking about it till today. Like, how did he simplify it so easily by just in one sentence there? And we are talking about it for hours together.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, that's amazing. Like he could,
Yeah.
you could simplify and then also communicate it to you. He
Yes.
could have
Yeah.
just, I don't know, but
Yeah.
he came up with something there. So
And I think it
yeah,
taught me, it's a hope, and it's a huge booster for me, because he said, I'm just used to eating vegan food, and that's what his mom provides. That's what his mom told him. As long as you live with me, I'm not going to give you money to buy non-vegan food, and I'm not going to provide non-vegan food for you. Here is your choices. I can try and recreate. I can find alternatives. I will try my best. But when you're not with me, your choice is your choice. And I hope you will be in a city where there are more vegan options, so it's easier for you.
yeah. And how is it being? You already mentioned like it's hard in China, right? It's
Yes, yes.
but they don't consume milk,
That's
isn't it?
good. Yeah, you're right. So most of their food items is noodles with soy sauce and all that stuff. So there's not much dairy in it. You're right. But there's egg. Most of the salad would have egg. But it's possible to find vegan options. But the harder part is, I think it's hard for them to understand. And I cannot list every single thing I cannot eat. I'll give you an example. So our Ai, she comes twice a week to clean our house, and we formed a beautiful relationship with her. And she knew about what we eat and what we don't eat. So she wanted to make something for us in return to something that we did for her. It was a reciprocation. I had given her something, and she wanted to thank me back. So she wanted to make something for me, and she did confirm with me all the things. So I was telling her no meat, no seafood, no eggs, no milk, and all that stuff. So she made me a salad. This was with potatoes and carrots. The salad, the potato was cut super fine, like thin strips. I was amazed with how it looked. And then she gave it to me, and I double checked the ingredients, and I asked her, can you please list everything that you added? And then the sauce that she added was oyster sauce. So I had not listed oyster sauce when I told her, and I couldn't even think about it because it's not something I use on a normal basis. That's one example.
Right.
The other example, I have a good friend. I went to her mother's farm to do some cherry picking, and then she was cooking food for us, and she asked me, you cannot have meat, I know that, but can I add shrimp to your rice? So
Yeah.
I'm not one bit angry. I think it's just that they don't know. So when I say
Right.
animals and meat, they probably just think red meat. So it was up to me to say no seafood also. And then I had to so now when I tell people, I use the word no animals, and to make them understand nothing that was living. But even that's tricky, because when you say animal, they think it's a big animal, the small shrimp and the crickets. They consume crickets here too, so they are not counted that way. And also honey is another tricky part, because I think it's not something that they realize, that vegans don't have honey. And just yesterday I was talking to a friend, and she asked me, why no honey? And then when I explained to her what happens in the bee industry, and how the queen bees wings are clipped so that we humans can take away the honey, she was shocked, and she said, I never knew all this. And she said, I will never buy honey again. So sometimes it's just being bold enough to tell them what it is. And I'll tell you, I think the timing is beautiful. I believe everything in life happens for a reason. So maybe this podcast is happening today, but yesterday this happened, and maybe I'm supposed to share this story today. So this was a friend who, my son Sai was going to swimming class, and then there was another girl whose name is Maggie, and her mom is Chinese, and they live here. And she was in the swimming class at Sai. So when they were having swimming, we were their lessons. The mom's name is Jade, and she and I were talking, and we just talked, and we became friends. And she came home because when she drops off her daughter, then I said, "Come home," and we had chai, and she loved the chai because she loves anything with ginger. She loved the ginger chai, and she was drinking it. And so we became friends. And when she knew that I'm leaving yesterday, she came home. Day before yesterday, she came home, and she gifted me a silk scarf. And I took it. I took the gift from her, and I gently told her I don't wear silk. And she asked me why, and I explained everything to her. I said how my wedding had a lot of silk saris. I was not aware of in the silk industry that time, and I explained to her how the silkworms are boiled to make the silk, and how many worms are needed to make one sari. I was telling all that, and she was speechless because she had no idea. She thought the cocoons, it becomes a butterfly and flies away, and the leftover cocoon is what is used to make silk. That was her notion, but it was not true. So I told her, don't feel bad. None of us knew this. I didn't know it when I got married. We got so many silk saris. I still have it today. I don't wear them. I just decided once I know, I'm not buying silk anymore. So the reason, I also thanked her saying, thank you that I'm so comfortable with you that I'm able to, you give me a gift and I know you're that open. I know you're ready to listen. You have an open mind, and I know your heart. I know you will listen, and I know you will not hold a grudge. So I have to tell you the truth, because I can just get it from you and keep it away or give it to somebody else. But I had to tell you that I'm sorry, I will not be wearing this. And we started talking about silk industry. Then it became about dairy, and then it became about why I turned vegan. And this friend has now taken a step, and I took her to the only vegan restaurant. There's one vegan restaurant here. So I told her, and when she heard about vegan food, she's like, I don't know how to cook vegan food. So I said, I know the owner of the vegan food here. I know her very well. I met her the 2 days after I landed in China, and we've been good friends because she was the only vegan I knew the second day I landed, and she spoke English. So the moment I know she knows what vegan is and she speaks English, I hugged her. This was the second day of us landing in China. So I was coming back to Jade. So I've taken her, we went to the vegan restaurant and celebrated Earth Day together. We were reading a Buddha book, we were chanting, we had lunch together. And at the end of the lunch, Jade told me that she is going to be vegetarian a few times a month. And she is going to transition slowly. And she had so many questions, and that's why I connected her to Gina, because I'm leaving China, and she could connect with Gina, who's the owner of the restaurant, who can help her with finding vegan alternatives. And we also spotted Omni pork in a supermarket, and I showed her a picture of it, and she was happy to order it so she can start her transition.
Wow.
And all this because she gave me a gift that had silk in it. And I was ready to tell her why I don't wear silk. And that led to all the open discussions. And I think that's how it is with many of us. We just need to know the information. We need to have the awareness. And then it's up to us. The choice is always ours. Because it's not that you're like the wife can force the husband or the husband can force the kids. Nothing of that sort. It's the choice is always yours. When you're aware, when you know the truth, there's no more unlearning. You learn the truth, there's no more unlearning. So it's up to you. And also, yeah.
It's like you have that emotion, that empathy part you talked about earlier, right? You have an emotion towards cows and calves, and you learn the truth, how actually it's being treated or how they are being produced. The milk is produced here in US, because back in India we don't see all that. What we see is, we see a house with a cow, or that's how it was before. I'm not sure, it probably has changed now a lot more, right? Like they would have a cow, and then they would take them out and then bring them back. They would have calves right there, and the calves would drink the milk, and we would have the same milk as well. But we never thought about that question. Okay, are we stealing the milk? Are we taking away the milk from the calf? That kind of thinking never occurred. And here, having this setup makes so much sense, that we are actually taking away the milk from the calf, that it's supposed to be for the calf, not for us. And having that thought automatically makes you give up, because I think that awareness, it kind of, it's, you can't sleep, as you mentioned. You can't just think about that and then have a good sleep as well. It's just impossible. It's a real true fact. And but many of us probably, I'm not judging anybody, but I think it's just, maybe they are like, okay, this, there are other reasons they do not want to be vegan, right? Like, for example, nutrition. So my next question, that's what, where I was going. So did you have any nutritional, um, when you transition initially, like, okay, I'm missing this, like my body is reacting this way because I gave up. And for example, calcium from the milk, right? That's a big huge part. And doctors recommend, okay, you are calcium deficient, go drink more milk, right? So did you notice anything like that? And where, was there something that you had to supplement? Okay, I'm not consuming this, so I need to have this, more of this instead of that. Was there a scenario like that?
Not really, because I think for me, it was vegan for the animals. So I had nothing to turn back to, because I know people become vegan for animals or for the health or for the environment. And I think when you do it for the animals, there's no turning back unless it's a medical issue. That's totally different. And that's not an everyday thing for everyone. It's rare. So in my case, I know, I think we all equate milk to calcium because of the marketing. That's something we need to keep in mind, because we've always told from when we were little that milk is equal to calcium. But there are many other calcium sources, not just milk. And I think the marketing doesn't talk about the bad that's in the milk. The cruelty cannot be justified at all. That's number one. The second part of it is the antibiotics that go inside, because a cow probably will live up to 20 or 30 years, but a dairy cow is killed in 5 years, because for those 5 years, she's been artificially impregnated again and again and again just for her to produce milk. It's not a natural process. So to make her produce milk, there are artificial substances injected, and that's going to be in the milk. And I remember there's a Tamil song which says the cow actually processes its blood into milk. It's a Rajinikanth song. He's a milkman in it, and I've heard that song for years together, but now I hear the lyrics much more because it's more meaningful to me. So whatever you're injecting into her body, it's going to go into the milk. So if the cruelty doesn't speak much to you, the health part has to speak to you. But I think we are blinded by the marketing that says calcium and protein. So there are other sources. And I think when people are worried, if they turn vegan, if they're transitioning, they can go to the doctor for their annual checkup, and they see if the calcium is low. Only if it's low, they need a multivitamin, or they can do other things. But if it's not low, the body is already taking it from other sources, which they're eating from vegetables, or there are plenty of other sources. But I think just saying that I will be low in calcium, so I need to drink milk, it's not something which is the complete truth. And if you want to hear it from a doctor, you can go to the doctor and you can do your blood work and decide what's next. And coming to the part where you said the truth resonating, or the empathy, I think there's a quote that says the softest pillow is a clear conscience, right? So when your conscience is clear, then you're definitely going to sleep better, knowing that you're causing the least harm. That just as a vegan, I cannot say I'm not causing any harm, because I know the point comes up when you're cutting crops, you're killing the mice, then mosquitoes, lice in your hair, all that stuff. So it's just that you're trying to cause the least harm, because you cannot control the dairy industry, but you can control what you're choosing to drink. So it's also that.
Yeah. I think having this sustainability mindset, right, which applying that to food versus consumption versus waste production, take it any aspect of it, right? I'm kind of I'm in the triangle, food and waste, and
Yes, yeah,
also
it's
the
interconnected. Yeah.
minimalism, right? So it's all interconnected, and it can be applied to any aspect of our lifestyle. So having that minimal footprint, if I say, okay, I'm going to be um, vegan and or I am vegan and I don't want to have, let's say I'm also vegan and I'm also mindful of waste production, and I'm also mindful of resources like plastic consumption. Don't want to create plastic waste. I don't want to also consume animal products. So I came across this dilemma when I had this I was thinking through that. So there is this vegan vegan leather, but that's made from plastic actually. And I don't want to promote that, right? It's marketing. It's more like a greenwashing thing, I feel. And
Mhm.
vegan diet, it appeals to, that veganism aspect of the principle, but it doesn't appeal to me as I'm a minimalist. I do not even need a vegan a new vegan bag, but having that, vegan leather, fake vegan leather, which is actually made from plastic. And yeah, so that's my point, was like, if when we are trying to balance out so many things, having that sustainable environmental mindset, rather than it's including animal as well, having animals and then environment and then own footprint of how we are how we are mindful of every day our consumptions of everything. So yeah, I was just gonna
So,
go where
yeah,
all
I
of
understand.
them
I
go
understand your
inside.
question. So, yeah, here is how I would put it. Food, you're having 3 times a day, and snacks maybe 2 times a day, every single day. The handbag that you're purchasing is probably you're not even purchasing it. In your case, you're not even purchasing it, right? In Even if it's somebody else, they probably purchase it once a year or twice a year. But food goes into your body. You're consuming food many times a day. Handbag is once in 6 months. But I understand the plastic part, which I'm totally against too. I think from the age of I was in college, and we were part of a road track club, wherein we went from Kodaikanal, that's where I did my college, to Madurai. And there was this person who came in. He was all about sustainability. Of course, they didn't use these key terms that time, but they served tea in a plastic cup, and he refused to drink it because it was plastic. And this was 90, maybe 2001. So he refused to drink the tea because it was served in a plastic cup. And he told us why. He said, plastics are not good for the environment. He gave a speech. And all through the trip, I didn't drink what was provided in a plastic cup. So his words changed me too. So from when I was little, not little, from when I was college, I've been conscious of the plastic part. So I totally resonate with what you said. And with the vegan thing made from plastic, I think sometimes veganism is also taking, it's becoming a brand. It's becoming a fashion. It's becoming more of profit. But I see, thinking positively, there's also vegan leather being made from apples, from dry flowers, from mushroom, and from cactus. So that industry is also coming up. And I see big brands or big celebrities promoting it for various reasons. So yes, that's happening. But considering the whole vegan picture and then talking about one part which doesn't resonate with you, yes, but you cannot do anything about it. The only thing you can do is don't support that, don't buy that. But the rest 90%, the choice is still yours. So that's something you can think about. There are, for anything, there won't be 100% a solution. But what best can you do? And how can you be the change that you want to see in the world? That's where our part comes in, I think.
Yeah, that's nicely put it, Mansi. I can,
And um,
yeah.
I've not talked much about my daughter, and she's not okay with me talking much about her. And my son probably will come to that stage wherein, like, don't write about me, don't talk about me. But anyway, so this is something that I wanted to share. So the hardest part for my daughter as a teenager being a vegan, as I told you, she took her own decisions. So it came from inside. So it's stronger, it's easier when you decide it for yourself, and it lasts much longer too. So for her, which I've understood from her, which I never understood in my part because my mentality is different, my adult mindset is different, was going to school parties or going out with friends. Probably zero options for her when she goes out here. But now Starbucks has oat milk drink. So she came home saying, I'm leaving China and now the Starbucks has oat milk, because all these years she didn't have an option. But I told her, the good thing is the world is changing. So wherever you go next, or wherever you're doing college, you are going to have options. It's going to be easier for you. So there was this time when there was an event and she was debating if she should go or not, because the only thing she could eat there was salad, and the salad could still have egg and maybe a fish sauce or soy sauce as a dressing, or oyster sauce as a dressing. So then I was talking to her saying, it's okay, just go meet with friends. And this is your last opportunity. We're going to leave China. We will not be here next year. And then this is what she told me. She said, Amma, you have no idea how awkward it feels to sit in a place with so many people and not eat. Because most of our gatherings is about food. And that was such a light bulb moment for me, because even if I invite you to my house, there'll be tea, or we are either drinking tea, or we are having a meal together. It might be lunch, it might be snack. And she's right. That event was about kids, her friends sitting together, having a food. And there she is at the table. She won't be able to eat anything. She cannot make a special request because it's a planned event. And she is generally not somebody who is going to stand up or go to the teacher and say, hey, I cannot eat anything here. And then she's not at an age wherein she can pack her lunch and go. Me as an adult, wherever I go, when I go out with my friends, I'm packing my lunch, and I'm okay doing that. That's me. And I don't think at her age, I would have been even more bolder. Even in fact, I was more reserved than her. So I totally understand how she feels. And I'm grateful that she thought that she opened up that point to me, because I never realized how hard it is for my kids to go to birthday parties. I know it's hard, but I did not realize the depth of how hard it is for them until she told me how hard it is. So we have this tradition at home. If there is something that happened at school, and in the sense, some pizza party that happened at school and my daughter couldn't eat, that evening I would make pizza at home, or we would make it the next day. So it's something that we have had a hot conversation with, saying, I was not able to eat this. I really missed it, because it's a conscious choice she's making. She can still eat, right? She can still eat it. I'm not going to know. I'm not going to yell at her. It's her choice. But she's choosing consciously not to eat, stay hungry, or just have water, juice, and fruits, and then come home and enjoy her vegan pizza.
Yeah, there's so much here that goes into, the not eating, right? Because when we were kids in India, if we followed certain diet in the house, we took it out when we went out. We followed that thoroughly. If we were fasting, we were taught to fast, then we still fasted when everybody else were eating. And
but that's different. I think fasting is looked at differently than saying, I'm not going to eat this. And okay, there's one more thing I wanted to add. So she shared something else with me. So one of her friends, two things. So one of her friends asked, they were having lunch together, and then Nikki was having she takes lunch from home every single day. So she was having this food, and her friend was having something from the cafeteria. And she asked Nikki, how can you live without eating meat? Because probably for the friend, it's something that she eats a few times a week. And for Nikki, it's 0 times in her life. So here was Nikki's answer. She said, I've never tasted it, so I don't have any craving for it. That was her answer. That's nice. One thing. And then the other thing was one of her close friends, she's come home, they've spent a lot of time together. So one day she just asked her, so can you eat meat outside home? That was her question. And Nikki was like, yeah, if I want to, I can eat. Then she asked her, why are you not eating? And then she said, I don't want to. That's why I'm not eating. So then the friend was shocked, and she said she thought her parents are forcing her not to eat. So I think the idea was it's a religion, or that it's a family practice. And if, for example, like parents would not allow to go out after 9 o'clock, right? Some parents have different, each family has different rules. Some parents would say, hey, you cannot go out with your friends if you have an exam tomorrow. Or they would say you cannot watch a movie after 11, or you cannot stay up late on a Tuesday night. There's so many things that each of us do. It's family rules, and each family is different. It's up to the parent. The mom knows what's best. The dad knows what's best. They can decide. But here is this friend of Nikki, the same age as Nikki, who thought that Nikki is not eating meat because her parents are forcing her not to. And when Nikki told her that, hey, I can eat if I want to. I can eat at home. I can bite and come and sit at home and eat it. My mom is not going to make it for me, but if I bite and come and sit at home and eat it, or if somebody is giving me, or if I'm eating it at lunch, I can still eat it, but I don't want to. That was empowering. I think it's bold of her to tell and make the friend understand that she's not being forced to, but it's a conscious choice. But then I still remember how Nikki explained to me. She said, my friend was shocked when I told her that. So sometimes I think people think that it's just that kids do it because their parents are asking them to do it. But I think it's more a conscious choice, and it's a lifelong decision when you take it as a lifestyle and not just as a diet.
Right. And imagine the transformation that would have happened in her friend's mind as well. She would be amazed to think that she has taken that independent
and
decision.
Also,
and Nikki is what?
Yeah, she's 15. She's 15. Yeah.
15,
and then the same in the same line of talk. So Nikki is somebody who she's a teenager, I totally understand, but I'm here I'm somebody who writes a lot, who talks a lot, who's sharing. Nikki told me some of your friends are going to unfriend you in Facebook, Amma, because all your news feed is about animals and don't eat meat and all that stuff. I said, it's okay. If that's what they feel, it's probably they're in denial, or they're feeling guilty, or they're not okay with what I'm sharing. It's okay. If they are a true friend, they will stay and they will support me in what I do. So one of our friends is in my WeChat. Maybe one or two of our friends are in my WeChat, and I do share on WeChat too. And in WeChat, I usually don't share much about. I would do it in a different way. So it's like the meme that says, I tried sharing animal cruelty videos and it didn't work, and now I'm sharing vegan recipes. I read that meme and I thought it's beautiful. So anyway, so in WeChat, I share more about what I cook at home. So it's vegan cheese, vegan pizza, coconut milk ice cream, and peanut butter fudge, stuff like that. So, and I do add a quote at end of every post. So I have a post and I'm writing about what I did. It's probably recipe, or it's probably the ingredients I used. And the end, it ends with a quote. And one of the quotes is, why do we call some animals as pets and some animals as dinner? I think it's deep, it's beautiful, the quote, because we all love pets. Like, if something happens to dog, maybe more people will stand up. But when we show a video of how a pig is being gassed and killed, it's not received in a way that it's received. I'm not telling dogs are better or pigs are better. It's just that we need to love all animals. They all are sentient. So what I was telling you was I end my post with quotes, and I think that resonated with one of Nikki's friends. And Nikki came home and told me, my friend who's reading all your posts said she doesn't feel like eating meat anymore. She doesn't want to. She wants to turn vegetarian. So I think it's beautiful, because this is called sowing the seeds, because I don't know if they're going to sprout. I don't know if I will watch the trees bloom. I don't know what the long run is, but I'm just sowing the seeds with a lot of hope and a lot of love.
Yeah, Maanasi, that's amazing. And I love all your stories. You always have some story behind every action or anything that you do. And thank you for sharing about Nikki's story. That's really,
I'm not
really
sure if she's
beautiful.
okay with it, but I think it's worth it. She might be mad at me for a few days, but she will still love me. It's okay. And I think I had
But
to
it's
share
empowering,
it. I
as
had
you
to share
said.
it to tell you to tell you the whole picture, because I spoke about Vivek, I spoke about my husband Vivek and how yogurt was his thing, and I started making soy yogurt at home, and how for my son it's an everyday thing, because he comes home and he says, I'm missing this today. I wish I had this. I wish, and one of the days he said, I wish I had Doritos. That was his thing. So interestingly, Doritos has one flavor which is vegan, and I was able to find it in China after 2 years of search. I did find it, but then it didn't taste as the other one, like the Cool Ranch flavor. So I went and Googled online, and there was this recipe of how you can mix a few powders like paprika, nutritional yeast, and some garlic powder, onion powder, and then it flavors same as the other one. So I tried that at home. So here is my son challenging me once a week saying, I wish this was vegan. And then I end up trying the vegan version of it. And I'm grateful for that, because he's opening up and saying, I want to eat this. And he's ready to try what I make. It's challenging for me, and I'm learning too. So I told you about my husband, my son, and myself. So I had to tell about Nikki, because in Nikki's case, I think the stories are deeper, and they're not funny, but it's just that they have more depth to it, which I think resonates more with me, because I've been a teenager, I've been a shy person, and here I am, ready to talk and ready to share.
Yeah, yeah. I love how Nikki goes deep into something. I've seen her. She's very quiet, but
She is, yeah.
she's always has that deepest thoughts about it. And you are awesome, Mansi, going through, so much dedication to figure out the perfect, to make something perfect like pizza,
Yeah,
vegan
and I
pizza
think,
or vegan Doritos.
sorry to interrupt you, but the reason is me and Vivek are just happy with our Indian food. We are happy with idli, dosa, which is already vegan, thankfully already vegan. Rasam, sambar, you just have to take off the ghee, because
Right.
usually ghee is seasoned with rasam. I mean, the rasam is seasoned with ghee, but I season it with oil. So we are happy with it. But our kids, they grew up in America, so they love pizza, they love pasta, they love the cheese over the pasta. So I think it was because of them that I do, because if it was just me, or if I was just giving them what I cook, they would eat it too. They would complain, they would eat it, it'll be fine. But I still wanted to enjoy them having a vegan mom. I still wanted them to be happy. I didn't want them to like think of, oh, I missed this, I missed that. I wanted them to be having the memories that my mom tried. I'm not sure what their journey is going to be in the future, but I want them to remember my mom tried. And I think they will remember it. That's the part for me, the happy part for me, I think. Remembering that, okay, my mom gave it a try. She tried making donuts at home because I asked her. She tried making chickpea nuggets at home. She tried making cheese at home. And I actually made shreddable cheese, and they shredded on pizza, and they had it, and the look on their face was just, I cannot describe in words. It was just priceless, and it was worth all the effort, ordering all the ingredients, researching, waiting for weeks to arrive, and then finally making it and giving it. And both of us don't even like cheese. Me and Vivek, we are not people who like cheese. So it's not that we even tasted it, but just seeing my kids enjoy it I think it was one of the happiest moments in my life.
I love
And I
that.
should tell you this also, talking about Nikki,
Yeah.
the shift, because one day after months after she turned to vegan, I asked her, what is it that changed you? I mean, I would like to know it. What did you, because she came back from school one day and she had health class that day where they discussed about food. And she came back home, she was sitting in the couch doing something, and she said, Amma, I'm ready to go vegan. I'm ready to leave cheese, because cheese was the hardest part for her. She was not a big, she would, even from when she was little, she didn't like the smell of milk. So she wouldn't drink plain milk. And she was not a big time yogurt fan. So it was mainly the cheese part for her, which was hard for her. So she thought, when I asked her the question, she thought about it, and she said, Amma, you were doing the veganery thing, wherein I was sharing a lot about animals, the post about animals. There was this one post, which it was a picture of a little baby calf, and it said, is my life more important, is your cheese more important to you than my life? I think that's what changed her, because she had read about how from day one, the female calf is separated from the mom and the male calves are killed. And so when she read that post, it just stuck deep. I think that's what she told me changed her, because she's been reading along with me a lot, but that one picture, she couldn't get off from her mind. And she did tell me that even if she has a craving, she brings that picture to her mind, reminding her that, do I need the cheese? or do I have to have the mental peace that I'm not harming the calf?
Yeah, that's amazing. So beautiful. I always end up, reflecting on our conversation. It goes very deep and soulful, and this is amazing for the Mother's Day, that this episode that will be um, published on Mother's Day, and you
Oh
sharing.
wow. Okay. So it's
Yes.
even more meaningful now, because it is I mean, I would consider myself as a vegan mom more than a vegan person, because I've changed so much just for my kids, because they need to be happy too.
Exactly. And sharing your kid's story and your being a vegan mom and how you are figuring out things, it's like a puzzle. You're solving so many
It is.
issues. So I love that. I love everything you shared. So this is, we are almost ending this, and I want the listeners, if they want to find out your recipes or find out where you post. You said you write a lot. Where can they find you?
They can reach out to me directly. I'm not like, I'm sure I have time for them. It's not that I'm super busy doing some things. I'll make the time. They are ready. They are more than welcome to reach me in Facebook, Maanasi Balakrishnan, or WhatsApp. And if they connect me in Facebook, I can connect them with in WhatsApp.
Awesome.
As of now, it's Facebook and WhatsApp. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if WeChat is something that I'll continue using
Okay.
much, but it's
Yeah.
Facebook and WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Yeah. So
And
Facebook
for
we
me,
can
it's, I would say, helping somebody in their journey, connecting and explaining to them what worked for me, what did I learn. It's more a purpose and a passion, because when I did it, I had to learn a lot myself. So I'm more than happy to help somebody figure it out.
Yes, Mansi. Yeah. So we can give a link. I'll put the link in the description to
Yes, yeah.
reach out
Okay.
to you. So, and Mansi is really, really good with all the research she does and then things she shares. And it has a story behind. It's not just a bunch of facts. So that's what I really love about what you share always. And thank you so much for sharing
Thank
this
you.
deepest, soulful conversation with us today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. And I think it's, as I told you, it's sowing seeds. And I'm happy on Earth Day we're doing this. And it's sprouting on Mother's Day.
Yes. Thank you, Mansi.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe and share the podcast with anyone you think would love to listen. Until next time, take care and stay safe.